Ah, you obviously know Kung Fu.
Hey, this is Mickey FACCHINELLO. I'm a stunt performer, and you've seen me in Wonder Woman. You've seen me in soon-to-be Black Widow. You've seen me in soon-to-be Hitman's Bodyguard 2, and I'm here with Kung Fu Drive-In Podcast.
Joining me today all the way from Germany, stunt woman, martial artist, actress. You've seen her in blockbusters like Wonder Woman, Solo, A Star Wars Story, Alita, Battle Angel, the upcoming Black Widow, and speaking of widows, she stunt doubled Emily Beecham's character, the Widow, in the AMC series, much missed series, Into the Badlands. Mickey FACCHINELLO. Mickey, thank you so much for joining the Kung Fu Drive-In podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. We've tried to schedule this interview a couple of times. You are so busy. It's amazing that you're doing so much work and so much great work too. So thank you for taking the time out to talk.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure.
Cool. So how are you doing with this crazy new normal? How are things going over there?
Yeah, it's good. I think I do feel very lucky that I'm able to do what I do at this time. I know a lot of people aren't even getting the opportunity to do anything at the moment. So yeah, it's definitely like the quarantine period. Everyone was definitely something that we don't always get either. Like being in this industry, we're always go, go, go. So having a couple months off, I think I was super thankful for that too. So yeah, time with loved ones that, sometimes we just don't get, but then also super thankful to be again working. But yeah,
have things started up again a little bit for you, or is it, because I know that around here at least the industries have started to open up again?
Yeah, and there's a few that are going in Europe. I'm working on a project, again super thankful for that. I know things have been a bit slowed down in the US because I know they were going to start up and it's been like touch and go, and I've heard things about Canada, but I think everyone's just being really careful. Everything's been really safe. Like just the procedures are definitely a little bit different, but we are slowly but surely working there. We were we had started some stuff in the beginning of the year, and I think because we had already had a foot in the door, maybe it was a little bit easier to get things going, but everything is covered by SAG and all that stuff. So everything has to go through like a crazy process, but they're doing a really good job of protecting everybody and keeping everyone safe.
Yeah, that's great. So let's go all the way back then. How did you first get involved in martial arts to begin with?
Oh, wow. Well, I started, I think, when I was 8, and I think my grandma actually was the one who was like, oh, like, let's get her in a sport or something like that. And I want to do soccer and hockey. And my mom was like, no, you're going to get your teeth kicked out, or a hockey puck's going to go in your mouth or something. And then they thought martial arts was going to be the best answer. So, but, like as a female, they're like, oh, like, she'll be able to protect herself, and obviously being quite young still. And it was just my mom and I mostly together. And so I think she just wanted me to be, strong and confident and all that good stuff. And so they put me in Aikido for a little bit, started in that. And that was just for like probably half a year. And then we moved. I was in Taekwondo after that. And then I dabbled from there, did competitions, did XMA, Japanese after that, like more traditional, like Shoryu and Shotokan, just a little bit dabbling in that. But yeah. And then from there, it's kind of just been like dabbling here, dabbling there. Can't really say that I've been through like full systems and everything, but I think that being able to, dabble has been nice as well.
But yeah, I mean, you've got a couple of championships under your belt. You got a few titles, right?
Yeah. Let's see, Taekwondo, I think I ended on like second or third degree. I feel a little bit bad, I can't remember. It's been the most recent was the Shoryu test under Sensei John Sharkey at Sharkey's Karate, and that one, like, all my martial arts means, the world to me, but there was something really special to me about that test, because like you only take that test once under him, and like their degree tests or their degrees work a little bit different. And yeah, that one was it's like all the tests, like you talk to different like martial arts schools and stuff like that. Everyone has a different system, and it is a very, mental, physical thing. And I think he was really just adamant that even with like our other martial arts as well, that because most of us that have tested and have gone through his system, we all started in different places as well. And he was so willing to let us utilize all of that. And he always wanted us to remember where we came from as well. And so it's like, he wants to see all the styles along with that stuff too. So, and then he also just like mentally pushing us too. So that one was really special to me.
That's cool. You had a pretty decent following on the competition circuit from the research that I've done. So what kind of set you up as differently as a competitor? What was the thing that kind of set you apart?
Well, back when I was competing, I actually didn't compete as long as like a lot of the people who were on the circuit, but I think I was kind of like an underdog when I came in. Like I remember when I first started competing and I was an underbelt and I was like nervous as shit. Like something about live performing, even like when I talk about it, like it kind of like makes my heart race a little bit, because you only get one shot at it. So it's very, nervous going into it. I remember my first like big win, like the grand championship. It was like this eagle, and then for the black belt stuff, I didn't do like the creative musical thing so much. That was more of like the live performing with Sideswipe. But I did a lot of like, I focused on traditional, and it was like NASCA traditional. So like a lot of people you'll see like even on YouTube, they kind of rag on us because they go, oh, it's, it's like, that's not real traditional, but it's like, it's kind of like souped up for competition. And it's a little more open traditional for that. But I don't know, there's something about the way that like Sensei had us train, and Sensei Sharky had us train, and I don't know, I think that maybe gave me a little bit of an edge. He did make us be, he wanted us to show those traditional roots in there, but also have a little bit of like just a little bit of an edge. So we trained really hard. We trained very hard. It was all about the hard work, and not to take away anyone else's. Everyone worked so very hard on that competition circuit. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I was an underdog, so I'm not really sure, I guess.
It's interesting that you say that you have trouble speaking, because the videos that I found of you in a competition on YouTube nearly blew out my speakers the first time I.
Yes. Oh my God. I've got that a lot.
Right. I mean, but that's a whole, not knowing anything about the competition circuit, that was eye-opening. I was like, what is going on here? And there's you, and you're in your stance, and then all of a sudden you're screaming bloody murder.
Yes. The screaming, like, again, like, especially on YouTube, like some people like rag on it, but like there actually is like, with the bunkai behind the traditional stuff, like the like what you're actually doing in the form, and part of that is like it's supposed to be scaring your opponent away. You're supposed to be startling your opponent, and then of course again souped up for competition, a bit of show, like there's a lot of like the grunting and the like the like the heavy breathing, and you see that a lot with the traditional, because you're the tension in your hips and stuff like that. But again, we're just like really amping it up to make the performance what it is. So sorry about the speakers.
It was very cool. I mean, I love seeing that, and I went down this whole rabbit hole of looking for more of those performances and seeing how everybody does it. And I mean, your energy and your projection was amazing. So good on you.
Thank you.
One other thing though, as a female though, did you? I know your mom and your grandmother pushed you into martial arts, but did you ever receive any resistance or opposition to jumping into the martial arts as a girl?
I think so. When I started the martial arts, and it was just strictly like going to class and all that stuff, like family was really supportive. And honestly, most of the friends that I had were through that, even up like through high school and stuff like that. Um, it was, it wasn't until I was around, so when I was 16, between 14 and 16 is when I really started to train for competition and also live performing, because that's when I met Sensei John Sharkey and a lot of his people, and I started training under him as well. So I was training under several different people, and I really started to understand what I wanted to do, and that was performing. You know, whether it was live performing. To be honest, I didn't even know about the stunt, like the screen fighting and all that stuff at that point. But I really liked the live performing and the competition. And so I started to pursue that. And it wasn't, and at that point I was 16 and I moved to Chicago, but I kind of ran away from home. And I was a dojo rat. I moved to Chicago kind of, I was just like, Mom, I'm sorry, this is what I want to do. I relocated high schools. I literally just picked up my my junior year, and probably gave my mom a heart attack, bless her. Yeah. And she, I think, and understandably, you know, like in retrospect, I look at it now and it's like, I can't imagine how she felt, but you know, I think at this point she forgives me now, and she knows that I'm walking the path, and I know that I'm walking the path that I'm meant to walk. Yeah. So I think her and several people like in like my close friends thought I was making a mistake, and I'm like, they thought I was gonna like throw my life away, you know, oh, what are you gonna, you know, like you're gonna perform, like they wanted me to go to college. I did 1 year in college to try to help, you know, it was like a like half online, and then I would go in like 1 day a week or something like that. I did that for a year, and then I just decided, I was like, I need to focus on this, because I really, in my heart, this is what I wanted to do and pursue. So there was some resistance there, but I think now I have, and I still do constantly want to just make my mom proud, but also just, you know, just prove that this is who I am and what I want to do, because it's in me, you know. Yeah, that's what we're passionate about. That's what I'm passionate about. So,
well, I think by this point, I think your mom is well proud of you. So, but well, that's a serious conviction that you found at 16. I'm a dad. I have a 15-year-old. If she tells me tomorrow that she's leaving, I may lose my mind. But
I mean, to be honest, again, like I can't imagine what I did to my mom. And I'm sure, like, you know, if I had a kid, like, you know, you said you have a 15-year-old, that's a, you know, because you're not quite an adult at that point, but you know, you're starting to find yourself. So I think, yeah, it's I can't imagine.
Well, what was that call like when you realized that this is it? This is what I'm meant to do? Because like you said, at 16, you're not quite an adult. You're kind of running on emotion and feeling there. So what was it that spoke to you specifically that said, I am going to leave Wisconsin, go to Chicago, and somehow live perform?
Well, to be honest, like it was watching other people, and obviously getting a taste for it myself. But like when I met a lot of Sensei Sharkey's people and started to train with them, and obviously the people that I was with before, but I started to see like the live performing it, and that, you know, there was something beyond that as well, and I could utilize my skills to do this and kind of like tell a story with my body, to start to create entertainment. You know, and even now, like there's something like you kind of fall in love with how passionate other people are. And I was watching, I still remember there's 2 people that I was watching, and I was just like, that's what I want to do. And I was like, because for me, what I felt when I was watching it, and of course I didn't know exactly where it would lead, but I was like I crave that. And if I don't have that, and if I don't at least try to pursue it, I'll regret it. So sure. I just, something in my mind, I was just like, I have to do this. I can't let it go. And, you know, and thankfully it worked out. That was it.
That's amazing. Then how was the transition from the live performing to stunts? How did you get involved in the stunt world to begin with?
Well, so once I moved to Chicago, there was LBP Productions, which is like like Manny Manzanares, and
Yeah.
you had several people there, and myself and some friends, like Brendan Hewer, and lots of people connected from LA as well. But we all kind of started doing some just like indie stuff, just learning the ropes, because he and also some other people had already had their foot in the door with all that stuff. They could do stuff with camera and whatnot. So they were willing to show us reactions and like teach us some fight beats, and how that, real martial arts is different than the screen fighting, but we can adapt it, and so that's kind of how we started making the little videos, which, obviously lots of people were already doing too. And then from there, did like live performing in Vegas, and then from Vegas went to LA and I met Christopher Cowan, and I was a part of a group called 1,000 Pounds, and Bonzo Carter, Amy Johnston, James Young, and then also Vlad Rimberg. I owe those guys, like, honestly, my career, because I didn't have those guys. Actually, Into the Badlands, Daniel Wu, that's actually how he found me, was on YouTube.
Wow.
And he called me up and was like, what are you doing? You want to come in for an audition to New Orleans? And I was like, sure. And that's how he found me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's crazy how, everything's kind of, the social media thing now, especially, it's just like, it's such a utilized platform. It's crazy how it just, can just springboard people.
Yeah. That's a great group to be involved with too. I like a lot of those guys. I've had a few of them on the show, and they all seem really supportive and really driven to make their marks in the industry, like you are.
Yeah, honestly, like it's a great way to practice too, and you just like, and the only way you're going to learn is if you do it. So the indie stuff is just, just grab a camera. Most of the stuff that I learned was out in the woods with Vlad.
Yeah. That's actually how I came across you and your work. Vlad is doing amazing stuff, and he's killing it in the industry as well. But your fights with Amy Johnston were what, if I was a director, I would probably contact you guys too and be like, hey, can you come work for me? Because amazing stuff, some really, really great stuff that you guys put together. And what's nice about Vlad's work is that he makes a sincere push to not just showcase great fighting, but showcase great fighting with females. So you guys got a great platform to show off your stuff. What's it like though nowadays for women in the action industry? Is it getting better? Are you getting a lot more recognition now? Because there's some good projects out there that showcase female fighting. So what's it like for you guys now?
I would say feel very lucky, and I'm very proud of just being in the industry during this time, because I think even within the last decade, it just, the amount of just action in general has just exploded.
Yeah.
And then and for women in general as well, it's just the amount of opportunities that have been presented has just tripled more maybe.
Yeah.
And so I think that whether it's an action or the amount of female directors that you see now, producers, writers, like honestly, there's and I think there's only gonna be more. And I think that specifically because we're talking about action too, you've seen a lot, especially with all like, Marvel, DC, like CW, like there's lots of the superheroes and stuff like that. I was Alias, I was a Matt Jennifer Garner, like one of my favorites. That's part of the reason I just like, love that stuff too. And I think, I think the last like probably like 10, 15 years has really, there's been a lot of good female action, action packed stuff. And honestly, just again, in the industry, writers, producers, directors, like you're just seeing more and more and more of it, which is amazing. And same with like fight coordinating, stunt coordinating, so many more females in that as well. I have a lot of girlfriends who are doing lots of that now. So I think it's great that you're seeing, the female counterpart in there.
Yeah. One of the big projects that showcased some badass women, speaking of Daniel Wu, Into the Badlands, you got to double Emily Beecham there. Some really cool work that you guys did there. Really powerful women showcased in that show. How much fun was it to be a part of creating the mythology behind that character?
Ooh, the widow on Into the Badlands was she was sassy. Also, side note, Emily Beecham is like, she's amazing, just like the sweetest female you'll meet, and just like amazing on camera. And she, like, honestly, she's a tough cookie because she got everything thrown at her, and she was put in high heels, and she was just badass in herself. So lots of props to her, and honestly, like all the actors, because they all went through the same thing, like, swinging swords, wearing crazy costumes. So just want to say that real quick.
Sure.
But yeah, no, the widow definitely was very fun, and it was also a great learning experience for me too. I feel like I found a lot about myself as well in there. A lot thanks to that the Hong Kong team too, like Daniel Wu, Master Didi, Stephen Fung, and they kind of allowed myself and several other performers to explore with weapons and movement and stuff like that, and kind of help create the movement. Obviously, the widow being, she's very feminine, and she's womanly, and she's regal, like a mother, and you see a lot of that in her movement. It's very calculated, but it's elegant, but also like, you don't know if she's good or evil, or is she vengeful, or what does she want? And so I feel like there's a lot of that in her. You're like, what is she fighting for? She's so passionate and sassy, but yeah, she's also very elegant, and yeah. I like the two.
It was great. What kind of stuff did you bring to the movement? Did you have input in how she moved and the kinds of things she did? I don't know what that. I know that it was a Hong Kong type of production with stunts and all that. So, what was your contribution, if you had a lot at all?
Well, I was lucky enough to have previous weapons experience, because they really wanted Emily to use daggers and double swords. She was always dual wielding. So I was lucky enough to have that. But then it was also a lot of acrobatic stuff, which a lot of the XMA came into play there. And then we have the wires and stuff like that. So a lot, I was lucky to have had some experience before that with some of that stuff. But combining all of those, I think, was with their Hong Kong flair. Yeah. And that's where kind of Master Didi was he'd be like, I want this, this, this. And she drops into the splits, and then I want you to pop up. And then he'd be like, and then I just want you to just slice them up. And so then, we would get to freestyle, and I don't know. It is nice to have that creative influence in there. It definitely was, what's the word? I don't know. Crazy. I can't think of the word right now. Yeah. It's very visceral, very, I don't know. I just love using the word sassy, because she is very sassy. Everything's very flicky and quick and nimble. She's very springy, but she's, again, also very regal, and I don't know, no one can stand in her way. So I tried to add that in with it. So
that's cool. One of the things that a couple of your castmates and production guys were talking about was the fight camps that were required to keep training for Into the Badlands. What was that like? Because I know that was pretty involved, and from what I understand, not just the stunt guys were there, but actors would come in too, and anybody that wanted to really get into it would be there for fight camp.
Yeah. And honestly, like for all 3 seasons, they would have a fight camp in like even before it started. And I would say all of the actors who had action were always there, unless they had like a fitting or something like that, just to familiarize themselves with the weapons. And then there's lots of just like conditioning in there. And it was all day, and it was quite tough, very sweaty. Wire training, and just like conceptualizing moves, pre-visual work, like which we see a lot of nowadays, and just kind of see what the actors are capable of, what suits them, and we try to like just work with that. So we would just be familiarizing them with the weapons. Like, let's say they have to, they're going to use tonfas, or they're going to use commas, or they're going to use swords, or they got to wear high heels or something. So we would take that time and have them playing with it, teach them how to swing it, teach them how to look cool with it, different stances, run them through choreo, and specifically with that show, like a lot of times with film and TV, like you have specific choreo, and that goes straight on camera just like that. That's what the previs are for. But specifically with this one and with the team, we would familiarize them with the weapons and make sure that they knew how to handle them and stuff like that. But we would get on set and we would generally learn all the choreo there. And, these are long beats with lots of wire work. We easily had like 6 to 8 gags in a day, which is a lot for TV. And we were fighting and doing, we had a fight unit going every day. So they would do that. And so I commend these actors because they just, hop on set and put some swords in your hands and here we go. And honestly, like all of them did an incredible job, because it was like, even for, you put, anybody in there, stunt people, people who are versed in fighting or, wire work, whatever, like it took a team. So it was definitely, kept you on your toes. So the training camp definitely helps.
No, that's good.
Yeah. It's,
Of the actors that weren't trained martial artists, did you ever think that there were a few that were like, these guys might actually be the real deal if they trained?
Yes, definitely. Honestly, again, on that, on Into the Badlands specifically, like we had several people who had like some martial training, or some who were extremely like physically inclined.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in, like, let's say you're not physically inclined and you still have a bunch of action. That's totally okay. And that's why we're here too.
Sure.
To make everyone feel comfortable and stuff like that. But like, a good friend of mine, actually, Louis Tan, who was on the 3rd season, he trains martial arts. I know he was on your show.
Yeah, a couple times, yeah.
Yeah. And so he has like a martial background, which definitely adds to the performance. And
Sure.
Then Aramis Knight too, like, and also Ali as well. They both in their off time, actually, like I think beforehand, I don't know if they might have done like a little bit of boxing, but I think beforehand they were just pretty physically inclined. And then in their off time, in between the seasons, they actually trained a bit. And then Aramis actually was doing like acrobatics on his own as well, like B-twists and some flippy fun stuff. So yeah, definitely added to all of that.
That's cool. And one of the scenes that got a lot of attention online, I know, was Dean Charles Chapman and Louis Tan going at it with the swords. That was a great scene.
It honestly, those guys were sweating their asses off that day. But there's something about, and again, I commend these guys because they got on set and they learned all of that on that day.
Wow.
So yes, yeah, like, and obviously, the actors are, they learn lots of dialogue and stuff like that, but throwing all of that at them as well. And like, there's not a ton of cuts in there, and like I watched them do it. I remember watching them do it, and they were doing runners. So
wow.
honestly, yeah, those guys worked really hard for that. everyone on that show did. Like, honestly, I have a lot of respect for all of those people.
That's cool. One of the guys that you worked with, Andy Long, told me
Yes.
a quick story about a stunt that you did that wasn't quite physical, but he thought was probably one of the more dangerous stunts on that show. And it was a scene where you had a tree fall near you. What was that about?
So, I still remember the morning, actually. It was very chilly. It was snowing. Yeah, Widow's standing. It's kind of like a dreamy sequence at first. It starts, and then some ninjas come up through the woods, and there's this big old fight, and one hits a tree, and this massive pine tree literally falls at her feet. And I was like, it was that one made me sweat a little bit, but
Yeah.
exactly why you have a good team that surrounds you and protects you. You have people around you that like, and honestly, the team was amazing on every season. So yes, that one definitely got me sweaty. It was amazing though. It was amazing, you know.
Was that really one of the more dangerous stunts that you consider, and given all of the seasons?
To be honest, yeah. And it's funny, like, I feel like probably a lot of us get questions like, what's like your favorite stunt, or what's the most dangerous thing you've done? There's been a few like that. And I think one of the, cause a lot of the stuff is like, we, specifically like the screen fighting stuff, you know, we're in control of our body, and it's kind of, you know, like, or if we have a wire on, like it's still within the realm of our, you know, almost complete control. It's a dance between a few people, but when you get into those kind of things, where you include like cars or, you know, buildings, you know, explosions, like those are things that are, you know, out of our control in a sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's in a controlled situation, and they're, you know, the stunt coordinator and whoever else is on the team is there, you know, setting it up as safe as possible and stuff like that. But at a certain point, you just, you know, I can't hold the tree up, you know, like there's, you know, things like that. But again, that's why we set it up as safe as possible. So it's just the nature of it is a little bit different, where I can control myself. I can step away, obviously, but at a certain point, there's other things in play that are much bigger than me.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally.
Yes.
That's cool. All right, let me get to a short that you did a while back that was really awesomely done. It was with you, Brendan Hoare, Manny Manzanares directed it, and it was the remake, shot-for-shot remake of the fight scene from Meals on Wheels, which you guys did an amazing job on. Such an amazing job that Benny Urquidez himself felt inclined to reach out to you and say that you guys did an incredible job. So how cool was that fight scene to do? And first of all, and then how hard was it? Because we talked a little bit about that, and you said that it was tough emulating the boxing moves that Sensei Benny dropped down in that scene.
Yes. That short that we did, one was a homework assignment. Yes, do lots of it. Like some of them are for fun, and some of them are like for specific reasons. And that one was like, and obviously, like Benny is Benny, and there's no way I can do Benny better than Benny.
Right.
Jet, so. Obviously, I'm trying to emulate him, but it, yeah, a lot of different challenges too. Like, I think we lost our location for a little bit too, and obviously, I can't remember. I think Manny does say how long it took us exactly, and like the different things we had to tweak. But yeah, he just, you know, and I know Brendan as well. Like even just doing like Jackie's like nuances and stuff like that. Like there's just certain things that just make them them, and they're just, and obviously they're at their like physical peaks too at that point, and we have different training and stuff, but of course that's the challenge of it, is to try to do it as best we can. But yeah, there was some fun like makeshift stuff we did as well, like with I think we did like plastic bottles instead of like candles or something. Like just weird stuff like that. But yeah, no. And also, like, it meant so much to me that Benny did that, because it like gave me like a little shout out with those guys, because yeah, I mean, between him and Jackie too, like those guys are legends, living legends. So
yeah. Now, speaking of legends, who is it in the industry that you idolized growing up when you knew that this was the kind of thing that you wanted to do? Was there somebody that you looked up to that said, you know what, I'm gonna follow in those footsteps?
Like coming into the industry, when I knew that I wanted to do stunts, and I knew that that was like, right, this is kind of the path that I'm going to walk now and pursue. There's a few females, like I'm sure you've heard of, like Heidi Moneymaker.
Yeah.
She was like one of the first like really like powerful women who, had already done so much, and she's obviously done a lot, like to pave the way for females in the industry, among several others, like Debbie Evans is a driver, but obviously like I don't have a ton of driving experience, so but there's a lot of guys as well, and I think that like I grew up with guys too, like that's pretty much a lot of us do, especially in this industry, especially in martial arts too, like it just ends up being quite guy heavy, and I think it's so hard to think of just one person that I can like pinpoint. A lot of people that I've worked with, and kind of, because I didn't know a ton of people when I was coming in, it was kind of just the people that I came into the industry with.
Sure.
But then there's people like Jeremy Marinas, who I had kind of first come to know, Daniel Graham, Anish Sherpa, Brendan Hewer. Obviously I came into the industry knowing him, and then Heidi, Renee Moneymaker, Monique Ganderton, Jojo Eusebo. There's so many, Chad Stahelski, Damon Caro, like all these amazing people. Yeah. And then there's actually a lot of actresses that I really admire as well. And then getting to see them in action and like, doing what they do best. I think that, to me, like even just as a stunt performer, I go, that I see that person and they like, I admire their, their passion and their work. So it just, that too, there's a lot of women out there, like Robin Wright is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, then is stunt work where you want to stay, or is there maybe a pull to go to the acting side of things?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of performance goals in general that I have that I still haven't achieved. I mean, like the action acting is definitely something that sometimes we even end up doing it like, and we don't have lines or something, but we have, it's like standing there and like look mean or something, stuff like that. Some of us do, like I've done commercial too, but I would like to do more. I think that there's like even like self projects, like some like Chris Cowan, like we still talk about doing stuff, and a lot of times that's just for us, doing our own things. Because, let's say, because I want to write as well. I want to write.
Oh, cool.
I want to produce. So I think there's a lot of stuff in that direction that I'd like to go. But right now, stunt performing, and then if more can come of that, I still would like to do different kinds of performing in front of camera as well. So acting, possibly. I definitely think that I need more work at it though, so I think I want to give it the time and love that it deserves, like I did the stunt and the martial arts. So.
Yeah. I've seen you take a knife to the throat in Into the Badlands, so that's
No, it's a funny. So Mikey, the first on that, and Daniel, it's like and we joke, a lot of the stunt guys joke. I have a friend, Matt Burberry, as well, and he was on the first season. And you could like, I think he died like 40 times through this, like you would count how many, like through the seasons. And those guys would try to like kill me as much as they could. they would put me in like precarious positions to like stay there. Like, you have to be dead on a dinosaur tail. Like, just, and they would, and then there was one time, and this is like kind of sneaky, like I like put someone else in my wardrobe.
That's funny.
And they like laid on the, I don't think you can see it on camera, but just to like get back at Mikey for like killing me.
Nice. That's very cool. It sounds like you guys had a really great camaraderie on that set, though.
Yes, we did. The team, and honestly, it becomes a family, which I think for most jobs that you work for a long time, you develop these relationships. You see these people every day. You go through hard days and you go through good days, and they become like family. And like a lot of those guys, most of those guys I still talk to, and we end up working together again a lot. So a very small, big world.
Very cool. All right. I've taken up a lot of your time, so let's do a quick lightning round and have a little bit of fun. All right, ready?
Yeah.
First thing that comes to your mind. You're in Germany right now, so what's your favorite German phrase at the moment?
I just learned bitte, which is you're welcome. I don't know. Please, maybe.
I think it means please and you're welcome, I think. So
there we go.
All right. Who's your favorite Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Oh, Donatello.
Nice. How many pizza slices can you eat by yourself?
Oh, probably a solid 4.
Nice. That's respectable. That's half a pie. That's awesome. All right. The pandemic zombie apocalypse rises up. You get to choose one: Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, or Jet Li. Who do you take?
Ooh. Jet Li.
Nice. Wow. Nice. All right. Cool. You, Amy Johnston, and Amy Sturdivant play a round of quarters. Who passes out first?
Who passes out first? Oh, God. Amy Sturdivant is really strong. I'd probably pass out first.
Nice. Okay. You did a commercial for Fruit of the Loom where you were in your underwear. How much glue and tape did it take to keep everything in place?
Lots. And towels so you didn't see sweatiness.
All right. If you weren't doing stunts, you would be a
chef.
Really? Are you a foodie? Do you?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's insane. And I love baking.
Nice. What's your best baking dish?
Cupcakes, and I also like making cookies. I made my own cookie recipe too.
Look at you. So there's a Mickey Facchinello cookbook in the works somewhere, I'm sure.
Someday, maybe.
All right. And last question, and it's the trick question, so hopefully you get it right. But what's your favorite podcast about kung fu and martial arts?
Kung Fu Driving Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so tell me then what's coming up next for you. There's obviously there's things that you cannot talk about, but there are a couple of projects that are coming out that we're all waiting for. I'm waiting for Black Widow, Wonder Woman 1984 as well. So what can you talk about that you can talk to us about?
Like specifically from those films, or there's also Hitman's Bodyguard 2, which I also do with Selma Hayek.
Cool.
I think that's coming out. Goodness, I think it actually got pushed to end of 2021, or maybe I can't really remember. But yeah,
okay.
That's it for now.
And yeah, all the stuff that you can't talk to us about. Best of luck with all those things. But where can my audience go to follow you and follow all of your projects as they come to light?
Well, Instagram is mainly like the only like social media that I have. So that or YouTube, but I'm terrible at social media. So eventually.
That's good. So Instagram. Yep, we'll post that link in the show notes. And please follow her. She does some great work. Mickey, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk. Amazing work that you do. My girls, I have 3 daughters. I did introduce them to your work way back when, so they think you're awesome. Yeah. And hopefully they'll take some lessons from you in determination and sticking with it. I don't know that I'm gonna be on board with her leaving for Chicago to just go do live performance. But if she feels if she feels that call, then obviously I'll be supportive. But I'm sure you made your mom proud, and I'm sure that you continue to. But great work that you're doing. Best of luck with everything else that you have going on, and I'm sure we'll see much more of you in the future. So keep it up, and thank you so much for talking with us today.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck with your little ones too. I'm sure they'll make you proud as well.
I hope so. Thank you so much. Mickey Facchinello, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you.
Poison Plan rocks the world.